What if humanity had failed? Again, in 1945, cities lay in ruins, millions were dead, and the League of Nations had proven powerless. War had won, and the world faced an uncertain future. But from that devastation rose a bold idea. A new hope for global peace, not with weapons, but with dialogue, diplomacy, and cooperation. This is Echoes of History, where the past still speaks. In this video, we will explore 60 years of the United Nations, how it was created, its victories, its failures, and why it remains essential for the world today. Imagine a world shattered by war, where millions have perished and cities lie in ruins. This was the reality after World War II. The world desperately needed a new way forward, a promise that such devastation would never happen again. The previous attempt, the League of Nations, had failed spectacularly. Out of its ashes, a new idea emerged, one that would change the course of history. In 1945, representatives from 51 countries gathered in San Francisco with a shared vision to create an organization that could maintain international peace, prevent future wars, and champion human rights and development for all. This was the birth of the United Nations. But could this new body succeed where its predecessor had failed? Could it truly unite the world? The architecture of the UN was designed to be more robust. At its heart is the General Assembly, a global town square where every member state, big or small, has an equal voice. It's where nations debate the world's most pressing issues, from climate change to global health crises. But for matters of immediate peace and security, the real power lies with the Security Council, comprised of 15 members, including 5 permanent ones with veto power: China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Its decisions are legally binding. This veto power, intended to keep the major powers engaged, would become both a cornerstone of its function and a source of intense controversy. Alongside these political bodies, a whole family of specialized agencies was created to tackle specific global challenges. You've probably heard of them. The World Health Organization, or WHO, leading the fight against diseases, UNICE, dedicated to protecting the world's children, and UNESCO, promoting education, science, and culture. Together, these organizations form a vast network aimed at improving the human condition on every front. But just as the UN was taking its first steps, the world plunged into a new kind of conflict: the Cold War. The ideological battle between the United States and the Soviet Union split the globe in two, creating a political paralysis that often gridlocked the Security Council. How could the UN keep the peace when the world's 2 superpowers were locked in a standoff? Despite the immense challenges, the UN found its role. It pioneered the concept of peacekeeping, deploying soldiers not to fight a war, but to prevent one. These blue helmets, drawn from member states, became a symbol of global intervention, standing as a buffer between warring factions in hotspots, from the Korean Peninsula to the Middle East and the newly independent nations of Africa. These missions weren't about winning battles. They were about creating the space for diplomacy to work. While the headlines were dominated by conflict, the UN was quietly building the foundations of a more just and lawful world. In 1948, it adopted one of the most important documents in modern history, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. For the first time, the international community agreed on a common standard of fundamental rights and freedoms for all people, everywhere. This landmark declaration paved the way for dozens of legally binding treaties protecting the rights of women, children, refugees, and minorities, creating a framework of international law that holds nations accountable. The UN's impact stretched far beyond diplomacy and law. Its humanitarian work has been nothing short of monumental. Through the WHO, the world came together to achieve one of public health's greatest triumphs: the complete eradication of smallpox, a disease that had plagued humanity for centuries. When earthquakes, tsunamis, or famines strike, UN agencies are often the first on the ground, delivering food, water, and shelter to those in desperate need. Its development programs have helped lift millions out of poverty, increase literacy rates, and provide access to clean water and sanitation in some of the world's poorest regions. These are the unsung victories of the United Nations. The daily work that changes lives, far from the glare of political showdowns. However, the story of the UN is also a story of its limitations and its most painful failures. The 1990s brought this into sharp focus. In Rwanda, the Security Council failed to act decisively to stop a genocide that claimed the lives of over 800,000 people in just 100 days. Peacekeepers on the ground were too few and lacked the mandate to intervene effectively. A similar tragedy unfolded in Bosnia, where undeclared safe areas were overrun, leading to massacres like the one in Srebrenica. These events exposed a brutal truth. When the political will of powerful nations is absent, the UN can be rendered powerless. The veto power, designed to prevent great power conflict, became a tool for inaction, leaving vulnerable populations to their fate. These failures led to intense criticism. Was the UN just a talking shop, unable to enforce its own resolutions? Was it dominated by the interests of the powerful, ignoring the cries of the weak? These questions are valid and continue to shape debates about UNREFORM today. Critics point to the bureaucracy, the political horse trading, and the gap between its lofty ideals and the harsh realities of global politics. The UN is not a world government. It is an organization of sovereign states, and its effectiveness ultimately depends on the cooperation and commitment of its members. It can be a mirror reflecting the world's divisions as much as its unity. So, where does that leave us? Has the United Nations been a success or a failure? The answer isn't simple. It's both. The UN has failed to prevent every war, and its machinery has sometimes been slow and frustratingly political. But it has also prevented countless other conflicts from escalating. It has fed the hungry, healed the sick, and educated the illiterate. It has given a voice to the voiceless and established the principle that human rights are universal. Most importantly, it provides a permanent, indispensable forum for dialogue. In a world of over 7 billion people armed with nuclear weapons, a place where nations can talk instead of fight is not a luxury. It's a necessity. The United Nations was born from the ashes of a world war with the hope of creating a better future. It is a flawed, imperfect institution, just like the world it serves. Yet, for all its shortcomings, it remains our best hope for collective action. It represents the audacious idea that humanity can choose cooperation over conflict, dialogue over destruction, and shared responsibility over chaos. The work is far from finished, and the challenges ahead are immense. But the existence of the United Nations proves that we are, at the very least, still trying. Thanks for watching. If you found this look into the UN's complex history interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the forces that shape our world. See you next time. The United Nations did not stop every war, but it gave the world a choice: to cooperate instead of destroy, to speak instead of fight. After more than 60 years, it remains a symbol of collective responsibility. If you enjoyed this journey through history, make sure to subscribe to Echoes of History. Hit the bell icon and leave a comment with your thoughts. Don't forget to check out our next video, where we explore the Cold War and the UN's role in shaping the modern world. The past still speaks. Will you listen?